Welcome. This is a Halloween-free Season of the Witch live stream commentary, and let me just get rid of all this nonsense. Go to the comments. DJ's only was here. He was here at 10 to 12. Maybe he'll come back. He's back. DJ, close the line. DJ, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are things with you? Yes. Hopefully Apollo will jump on at some point. My two go-to subscribers when it comes to a live stream. People jump on later on usually. But yeah, not bad, man. Not bad. How are things with you, DJ? Hope things are good in Scotland. I'll probably get this going fairly soon. It's quite a long film, Halloween 3. It's like an hour 37, so that's not long, but by slasher terms, it's quite long. You know, hour 37, hour 39. That's quite long by slasher terms, and you know, but you know, in terms of like, you know, I thought I'll give it a 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll get into the film. But you know, anyone jumping on in a minute, maybe. Anybody seen the new, well, aimed at you, DJ? Anybody watching in the future can, well, they won't be able to answer me now, but Screen Factory, the 4K Halloween 1 to 5 releases. I replied to Screen Factory. They are really, really, really bad. Really bad. Well, they're all bad, DJ. I mean, if you've seen them, do any of them look good to you? I mean, when you think about the steelbooks that came out a year or two ago with the John Carpenter collection, you know, with Halloween and Salt and I think it was The Thing and The Fog, whatnot. I mean, this is just embarrassing compared to what they've put out in the past. Well, not compared to what Screen Factory put out, but compared to what's being done with John Carpenter films. These are an embarrassment, in my opinion. Halloween 2 and Halloween 5 in particular are just terrible. And what's with all the leaves on the cover of 1 and 2? What's with that? I don't know. It's not good. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's really not. I don't know what they were thinking. It's not the be all and end all. You know, it's just. But when people now, they're buying physical media more for the actual physical media rather than the actual film, because they've got the film 2, 3, 4 times over. So people now who are buying physical media, they're buying it specifically for that reason. So if you're going to mess up the artwork, then it's not going to be. It doesn't look good. So yeah, it's a bad move by Screen Factory. I don't know what they were playing at really, especially considering what's gone on in the past with some of the quality that's gone into some of, especially the John Carpenter stuff. You know, it's baffling, to be honest with it. But I'm not going to hang around. You know, okay, there's nobody in the chat apart from you, DJ, but people are going to jump on, hopefully. Hopefully Apollo will, maybe a few of the others. And as I say, it's an hour 40. It's a fairly long Halloween. It's probably the longest Halloween film. Is it? Maybe. I could be wrong. But I'm just going to get into it. So if you want to watch along, DJ, I am going to press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 now. I'll turn the volume up a little bit, so you know. It was a bit loud last week. The music was coming through a little bit loud, but I suppose that gives people an idea of, like, you know, I obviously can't show the film because I'll just get banned anyway. But this theme tune, let's see. I think the 4K covers the Visma the best. Second movie covers the Master Tuxie wide. The 5th movie cover, why the scythe? It's why use the scythe? It's too big. It just covers way too much of the cover. it doesn't look, and the Halloween 2 mask looks terrible. It really does. And even the Halloween 1 mask, even the Halloween 1 cover, he looks like he's looking at the camera as if to say, "Do you want to? Do you want some?" You know, like that's just like he's like threatening the camera. That's not Michael. It's just bad. But anyway, back to the film. Oh, Corey, what's up, man? Corey's in the chat. Nice to see you, Corey. Um, we're just talking about the awful Screen Factory 4K covers, which are just absolutely diabolical. I'm going to try and get back to the film anyway. But yeah, so the Halloween 3 Season of the Witch theme, although not okay, I think this is Carpenter's on. It's on par with Assault and Precinct 13 in terms of like the best score. In terms of best theme tune that goes with the film, I think still think Halloween. You can't top Halloween. I think Halloween, the score that goes alongside the film, is the best that he's done. But in terms of just a really, really good score, which if you're gonna sit in a dark room, put a pair of good headphones on, not like these ones, these are shit. Go put a pair of really good headphones on. This is the sort of soundtrack, Halloween 3 or Assault and Precinct 13. You listen to a soundtrack like that in a dark room with a good pair of headphones on, it's going to blow you away. But as I say, Halloween theme tune is the best in relation to the movie it's, supporting, if that makes any sense. But, I love Halloween 3. This film's got a 5.0 on IMDb. A 5.0. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? This movie does not deserve a 5.0 on Halloween or on IMDb. So the film's set in Northern California. Now, was the film made in California? Or did they film it elsewhere? Because the thing that always gets me about Halloween 78 is you film in New York now, even 89, it's extremely expensive to film in New York. Jason Takes Manhattan, the one scene is the Times Square scene where he lifts his mask up. They film most of the film in Vancouver. So obviously by the late 80s, it's extremely expensive to film in New York. Now, Halloween was set on a budget of $300,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. And back in the 70s, even then, it wasn't a lot of money. So how did they afford to film in LA? Because they filmed in Pasadena, which is just it's like a 10-mile drive from downtown LA. So did that cost a lot of money back in the 70s to film in Pasadena? I'm asking you guys because I don't know. It just seems like a strange place to film. The movie's set in Michigan. And I'm assuming Michigan would have been a lot cheaper to film. And yet they film in LA, which I would have thought would have been expensive to film. But clearly that's where they filmed, and it worked. It worked really well. Even though the fact that, California always seems to be sunny. But get back. Corey, don't care if they work. Actually, like they have. Oh, yeah. I saw that actually on one of their tweets underneath. Yeah, I'd love to know where they decided on the artist for Halloween, because they've got Michael down. They haven't nailed Michael at all. It's so 2 and 5 are just so off. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know who authorized and signed that off. It's bizarre. DJ. Mike Myers, isn't it? But if you, he is. Is it Tom Atkins is in the bar and you see a trailer for the first film? Yeah, but by that, by including Tom Atkins, by including the trailer in that film, that means that Halloween 1 is not in that universe, because obviously in the Halloween 3 universe, Halloween 1 is a film. So you're kind of separating 1 from 3, 1 and 2 from 3, which I don't mind. But it's worth noting that obviously in this universe, Halloween 1 and 2 don't exist. Halloween 3 was shot in Northern California, not close to LA. Well, obviously California is, it's a big place, so I'm guessing it was, but it's just with them saying it's set in Northern California. Was it actually set in Northern California? Because obviously I'm not really that clued up with American geography. For me, the outdoor scenes, they could have been filmed anywhere, but I'd like to think that it was filmed in California if that's where it was set. I think Tom Atkins was older than me when this film was made, and he's still sort of, getting off with women who are about 21, 22, which is a bit similar to The Fog. But what a legend. And this is our first introduction to the Silver Shamrock TV commercial. I think in the original, in Halloween 3 as well, towards the end of the film, Tom Atkins he's trying to convince the TV, the people who run the TV stations to shut it off, and does he think up like 3 or 4? Like realistically, in America at the time, wouldn't have been a lot more than 3 or 4 stations. But maybe that was just the stations who were running this commercial. I mean, realistically, there probably would have only been 1 anyway running the commercial. There wouldn't. I can't imagine there would have been in a realistic setting. You would have had like 3 or 4 TV stations all showing the same commercial, because you would think that one would have the rights to do that, and then the others would be doing something else. Do you remember the Men in Black? The henchmen. For Silver Shamrock, they kind of like very, very similar to the Men. Obviously they predate the Men in Black, but whether the Men in Black are a real thing or not, they kind of they feel very similar. Don't say anything, like robotic. There's Tom Atkins, the family man who just cheats on his wife the first possible opportunity. Although to be fair, when you look at his wife and you look at his female lead, you can't blame him really.
Mama, where the guns mask? Silver Shamrock, look!
Nice try.
Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
So, how you been?
They are quite creepy, those masks, gotta say.
Drinking and doctor, great combination.
He doesn't look like a doctor either, does he? Atkins. He doesn't look like a doctor, does he? Let's face it. Tom Atkins, he's a cop. Or he's anything, an action star. As a doctor, no, I don't buy him as a doctor.
All right, I'll be right in. I gotta go.
His condition is stable, but
And this looks just like the hospital from Halloween 2, but there's people there, so it's obviously not the hospital from Halloween 2. There's actually quite a lot of people. Security guards, police, nurses, doctors. This is definitely not the hospital from Halloween 2.
Hey, can I leave now?
Sure, I don't see why not. Thanks a lot for bringing me.
Well, thank you, Doc. I was always taught that when somebody needs help, you help them. I mean, unless there's going to be trouble. There's not going to be any trouble, is it? I mean, you never know when somebody might be needing help. And it might be my time.
They're going to kill us.
I always thought, every time I've seen this film, I always think the guy that in this hospital scene now dies at the beginning of the film, and he doesn't. I always forget that he gets killed later on, because he escapes obviously originally, and then he makes it to the hospital, and then they come in and then just like rip his head off. Oh, Big Crack Rock's in the chat. So, Big Crack Rock, what is your opinion on the cover art for these new Screen Factory 4Ks? Because, my opinion is they look pretty bad, especially 2 and 5. But, maybe it's just me. But they look pretty bad to me. 5 with the massive scythe. Yeah, I'm not. It doesn't look great for me. Now we've got the Men in Black Michael Myers. About to do is it's actually a great scene. This I've got to say, I love the music in this scene. Now Sean's in the chat. Hello, Sean. Tomac is actually my dad, don't say that. I would have thought your dad was the evil Silver Shamrock leader who wants to kill all the children, Sean. It's just Michael, especially even in the cover for Halloween 1, he looks like he's sort of looking at the camera to say, do you want some? It's like got this threat. It's just so strange, the look of Michael in these covers. I just can't get over it. I can't believe someone has looked at it and gone, yeah, okay, that's fine. Well, even though the Steelbooks from 2 years ago look amazing, which who was responsible for the Steelbooks? I think in 2019, which look amazing. John Carpenter covers where Michael's walking down the corridor in flames. That is just amazing cover art. This is just so poor in comparison. Yeah, it is. Yeah, eye gouge. It's a great scene. It's a throwback to Halloween 2 in a way, and only a year later as well. Is this better than Halloween 2? I'm going to put it out there to the chat. Is this better than Halloween 2? I'm thinking it possibly is.
What are you doing in here?
Oh yeah, I agree, Sean. Definitely. As I said, I explained at the beginning, I don't think you were on board at the beginning, but like I say, Halloween, the original score to the original film, combined together is perfect. But in terms of if you want to go, go in a dark room, put a pair of headphones on and listen to a soundtrack, Halloween 3 is far better than Halloween 1 or Halloween 2. And the Man in Black's escape by the looks of it. Tom Atkins hasn't got a clue what's going on. Yeah, it does, and obviously, you know, he was involved in the music, and it does feel like a Carpenter. It does feel like a lot like a Carpenter film. The cinematography is so much like Carpenter. It's the best John Carpenter film that John Carpenter never directed, I suppose you could say. If Halloween 2 as well, if you look at Halloween 2, it's very similar to it's very reminiscent to John Carpenter. He must have had a lot of input in both of these films, I would have said. Because obviously he did the music for this film, so he definitely must have been on board in some respect and just like been having little pointers here and there just to sort of, you know.
Sure. Saturday night, yeah, that'd be fine. They can both stay with me all night. Tell them I'm sorry.
I think Tom Atkins was like 45 when he made this. I think he's like, how old is Tom Atkins now? About 80? He must be in his 80s, Tom Atkins now. I prefer this Halloween 2. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, up until last week, I was doing a Halloween 2 live stream. I was probably undecided, but you know what? After watching it again, Halloween 2, I still love the film, but it is lacking in a lot of ways, and the lack of Jamie Lee Curtis in that film is just, every time I watch that film, I always forget how little she does in that film. Yeah, and in terms of the storyline, Halloween 3 is definitely superior in most ways. It's just the lack of Michael, I suppose. He is. Enough said. This is where Tom Atkins, Daniel, is introduced to the daughter of the victim. This is probably where he's starting to think, oh yes, I wouldn't mind a bit of that. A nice 22-year-old for me to get into. Although she's probably a little bit older than Jamie Lee Curtis was in The Fog, so you know, easy. And Apollo, what's up, man? Nice to see you on board. I thought, where's Apollo? Started the live stream. Apollo, where is he? I knew we'd be on board eventually. Nice to see you, man. We are. If anyone just wants to jump on, we are. I've just left the freaking stream. 19 minutes in. Literally at the point Tom Atkins has just met the, you know, what's her name? The daughter. They're just about to make their way to Silver Shamrock. I'm so disappointed that Halloween 5 4K won't contain the alternate. So Apollo, what's your opinion of the cover art for these 5 films? Because they are, in my opinion, pretty bad, especially 2 and 5. I mean, the Scythe on Part 5, the cover, it's not looking good, mate, is it? Let's face it. Yeah. Stacey Elkin. I had major crush on her just from this film when I was a kid. I just thought she was gorgeous. Not a fan yet, yeah. Like most people, if you go on the Screen Fatty's Twitter page, if you look at it, there's some pretty venomous comments on there. I think he's last time 21.
Oh yeah.
21. Tom Atkins was about 40. I think he was 47. 47 or 40. I think he's born in. He was either born in 35 or 37, I think. Now, don't quote me on that. But he was definitely in his mid 40s when they filmed this. So if he's getting on with a 21-year-old, then lucky man. That's all I can say.
Hey, Charlie, can we have another station?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I never even got onto that. Well, how can I not be jealous? The scene where she gets out the shower in part 3 and he walks in into, oh my god, I was so, as a teenager watching that scene, I was like, you lucky man, you lucky man. I'll risk my life. I'll go to the crazy town to risk my life for that woman. Jesus.
I know. Dan Chalmers.
I know. One of the nurses told me I could find you here. I saw you at the funeral. Thank you.
I'm sorry about your father.
Oh, Dan. What's up, Dan? Dan's in the chat.
Did my father
Nice to see you, man.
the night he died?
So, Dan, have you seen the Screen Factory 4K artwork covers? What's your opinions? Because, in my opinion, they look fucking terrible.
I saw something that night. I don't know. Your father came into the hospital.
That's the exact time he was doing research. I never knew that. God, I don't know half of this stuff. The stuff that you guys come up with, I am so unaware of most of this stuff. I just watch films and then turn them off. I mean, okay, there's a few ones where I do deep dives on, but you know, like Halloween 3, I watched the film. I love it, but I don't watch it for 10 years. I watch it again, love it, and I won't watch it again for another 10 years. But I'm not aware of half of this stuff.
They come in after school. He let him play with the stuff right in the aisles like I used to.
I'll deal with the bad covers. Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's most people who the thing is, Dan, as well. I think when most people buy 4K the Blu-rays now, it's all there just to display anyway. And if you're gonna have it side on you know, on a wall, you're not even going to see the cover anyway, are you? So it's all good. But those steel books from a couple of years ago, the John Carpenter collection, they were fucking glorious. And this is just like this is like an insult to what they were. Like the steelbook from the company where Michael's like in flames walking down the corridor for Halloween 2. They were fucking amazing. That was amazing artwork.
It's not too far away. Maybe they know something.
Apparently this was a success now with it being Haunted Mansion. Right, so are you joking, Sean? Is this serious? Because is that a joke? Or is this just like Irish sarcasm? Because I do know that they were looking at branching out, because they branched out for part 3, and the reason we went back to Michael is because 3 wasn't obviously the success they were hoping for. So I'm assuming that's true then. So, yeah. Corey, what's this movie having on? It feels more. This feels more like a Halloween movie than, I would say, 50% of the Halloween movies. I would say this feels more like a Halloween movie than 5, 6, H2O and Resurrection. I would say, with the exception of 1, 2, and 4, this feels more like a Halloween movie. Even though you've got that Northern California sort of summery feel to it, it's just got that. Yeah, you can't put your finger on it. It's just something about it.
What I want to know is why they put their factory out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I've read that before. It would have been interesting, but at the same time, we would have got less Michael. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. What do you go with? Because I would have loved to have seen a variation on the Halloween films, because I love this film, but at the same time, I love the Michael films. So it's like, what do you do? It's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I've spent much time in the chat. I've barely focused on the film. They're just arriving in town now, getting the death stares off everyone. See, this feels like Carpenter.
Like a goldfish.
See, all the people in town possessed? I can't remember. It's been that long since I've seen the film, but is everybody in town possessed, or are they just scared of upsetting, the status quo? You can tell it's California just by the sunshine. Just clear blue skies. If they film that in somewhere else, yeah, it'd probably be lots of cloud. Going off topic slightly, I'm just going to take off topic slightly a bit. Did anybody watch Fear Street on Shudder? Or not Shudder, on Netflix? Opinions in the chat, because was I the only one who thought it was a bit disappointing? Because I'm just seeing all these comments from like horror YouTubers who are raving about the film, saying how great it was, and I'm like, I don't get it. It was half decent. I just don't think it was. I'm looking forward to part 2 because it's set in 1978. But yeah, I don't think it was all that. I don't think it was all that great. Haven't seen Fear Street yet. Am I missing something? Was it just not all that great? Maybe. I mean, I'm looking forward to part 2 more. I think I'm looking forward to a 70s setting. It's set in 94, the first series, the first film, and didn't feel like it was set in the 90s. It just felt like it was set modern day, except they didn't have cell phones. But I mean, yeah, I say there's a lot of YouTubers just jumping on the bandwagon and saying how amazing this film is. I'm like, I don't know. I'm starting to think that, some of these YouTubers are just getting backhanders from these companies and just giving it a good score, because I was a bit like baffled by the amount of good reviews it got. It's very average, very average. In fact, I'll just go on record. I know Dan wasn't that keen, but Shudder, Vicious Fun, I actually thought Vicious Fun was a far more enjoyable film than the Netflix big budget Fear Street, because I'm assuming Fear Street had a bigger budget than Vicious Fun. I thought Vicious Fun was far more enjoyable. I think Shudder are doing some decent stuff. They're for what the budgets of what they've got at the minute, I think they're knocking it out the park, to be honest with you. But it's not classic day home. The thing is, Dan, I actually thought the first 5 minutes was the best part of the film. I like Mia Hawke. I like her in Stranger Things, and I liked it in this. Up until the point, I was like, oh, they're not gonna kill her, are they? I thought no, she's like Ethan Hawke's daughter and Uma Thurman's daughter. She'll probably be a main character. And she was killed off, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, because I thought she's probably going to be a standout, and the cast who were in it after her they weren't bad, but I thought she was the best thing about the film, and I was like so pissed off, and she got killed off. But I mean, the next film's set in '78 anyway, so it doesn't make any odds. So unless they go down the route of putting the same characters in this film, but with hair, makeup, and stuff, I don't know what they're going to plan to do. But the final film is set in 1666, but they're going to have to somehow jump forward again to the present day, because you've got to explain how all this ends up. What's the end result? Because you can't end the film in 1666, because obviously that's where the film begins. So I don't know. Maybe I'll push to give words to certain things. How's it? Yeah, I mean, there's got to be influential YouTubers who are making extra bucks on the side to give good reviews, because they are becoming extremely influential. But I've seen even smaller YouTubers just raving about this film, and maybe they do genuinely think it's a great film, but I'm just scratching my head thinking it's okay. It's it's not bad, but it's not amazing. Yeah, sure. It is good value for money, Dan. I've got to say, it's for what they put. I mean, just if you look at their version of Stranger Things, which I would say is the slasher. They put out 3 seasons of that, and okay, it's not up to the production standards of Stranger Things. But if you're a slasher fan, there's some hardcore shit in that. I mean, I do like the first season of slasher. The second season obviously ups the gore, although I think it loses something in terms of the storytelling and the plot. But if you're a slasher fan, they are offering a lot of good stuff for a small price. But I'd say that is the problem with every streaming service now, is offering quality content, and it's not possible for someone on a modest budget. Like myself, I'm on a modest budget. I can't afford to have all these streaming services. I get Shudder on on a month's trial. I get I'll do Netflix for a month, give it up, then they'll come back and say, "Oh, you've got a 3 months trial." Amazon Prime are always offering a month's trial, but because they know that nobody realistically on a modest wage can have all these services, and you got Apple, Disney Plus, it's impossible. And they know that at the end of the day, all these films are available at the drop of a hat on the internet. You just have to type in. I go to certain websites to watch certain films. I just cannot get on streaming if I need to see them. It's not. I don't feel bad about it, because I just cannot access these films. And if I do like this film, which I've watched, on a illegal stream site, if I like it that much, I will physically buy it. So I don't feel bad about it. But it is what it is. It's not like music. Music you can get on multiple. You can get, if you like a certain band, they're available across all streaming services. If they're a relatively well-known band, it doesn't work like that with films, and they need to. Well, they need to look at doing something anyway, because you're not going to stop people pirating films if you can have all these streaming services all charging £10 a month. So I'm totally missing the chat now, but I've got a little rant there. I'm going to say it. You talking about Mia Hawke there, Dan? Because yeah, I agree. I hope we should catch the. Well, yeah, because I do feel. I mean, I'm not American, but for me, it didn't really feel like 1994 when I watched Fear Street '94. It just felt like it was modern day to me, without mobile phones, cell phones. But I say I'm not American, so maybe it did capture that moment. I don't know. If it had been British, I would have spotted straight away. It's the Scientology page in the case for his reasons. But that's, yeah, it's an interesting idea, Jess. Oh, this is to be head. This is where they take the guy's head off. I'm so far behind on the film. I'm just talking in the chat. I do love this scene as well. This is such a Men in Black scene. This, if Men in Black were evil and not goofy cartoon characters like Will Smith. I love the spray of blood as well. Oh, it's so good. And the music just tops it off. That synth score is just golden. I like the deep dive. I do like this sort of you know, because obviously with H2O, I mean, where does Halloween fit within anything? Does anybody know? Does it exist in any sort of timeline of the Halloween franchise, or is it completely separate? It's got to be separate, hasn't it? Because obviously he watches the trailer on the TV, so it's got to be separate. Is there any way we can fit Halloween 3 into the franchise? I hope so. I didn't know that. I'm just moved to Western State. I expected to see more flannel. You know, like that early 90s, you know, because Kurt Cobain with the the Nirvana look at the flannel and centre parts and all that stuff. I thought there'd be a bit more of that. And I thought it'd been a bit more grey. It seemed a bit too colourful for 94. I just think of 94 as a kind of... They do mention My So-Called Life, though, in Fear Street. Because I remember like My So-Called Life being on in the UK. And Jared Leto was like a big heartthrob at the time in the UK. And he disappeared for a couple of years and then came back. And obviously he was an urban legend. And then it was like... After that, obviously, like he just took off as a big star. But Dick Wall plays the guy ripping the head off, played by Arlington. Did he? How do I not know any of this stuff? I was kids with someone for a long time. Jesus Christ. I am so clueless when it comes to the minor details of these films. You have to bend your eye, but you could consider the Halloween chain on TV. I'm up for that. I'm up for that, Jess. Definitely. The thing is, though, Dan, a point you made about the about Fear Street is a lot of the songs were actually released after '94, because I know that Firestarter by The Prodigy is '96, and I think there's a fair few other songs. I mean, I think maybe a Garbage song, maybe Stupid Girl, maybe in '95. I think someone pointed out that there was quite a few songs which were released after '94, which it doesn't bother me that much. But I suppose if you're a purist and you're looking to, you know, look at '94 and in a romantic way, and then you think, oh, this movie just speaks to me, and then you hear a song that comes out from a year or two after, maybe like, well, but yeah, I mean, yeah, Firestarter by The Prodigy was definitely '96, so it was definitely after the setting of Fear Street. I think we'd all like to do a Halloween. I think we'd all like to do a Halloween film. I think we'd all have an idea of what we could do to make the perfect Halloween film. And I've totally missed Tom Atkins getting it down with the actress's name we've forgotten. Oh, but she's up for some more. Tom's tired now, but he's still gonna have a go.
Aren't you just the least bit tired?
No.
Wait.
Have I missed the scene where she blows her face off with the badge? Because I've been so busy talking. Oh, I think I've missed that scene, haven't I? Oh no, I haven't. No, here he comes. I love this scene. The boring spinster or housewife. You know, she's probably heard Tom going at it like a, you know, rabbit. Tom and his missus going at it like rabbits, and probably got a bit jealous. I don't know why she starts poking at it with a. It's just a badge. It looks like a QR code. Looking at it now, I've just realised it. It looks like, if you look at it, it looks like a QR code. They were truly ahead of their time when they made this film. Atkins alpha male. Absolutely. Great shot now. Looks very much like a zombie, and you get the worms coming out. It is. It's probably the goriest scene of the film. It's not a film which is like overladen with gore, but that's probably the closest you get to like a really gory shot. It was like, I mean, obviously I'm not American, but these sorts of motels they use in so many films. It's like, it reminds me of the motel in Terminator 1 where Sarah stays with Kyle Reese. You know, these sort of out of town motels. Tom's in pretty good shape. I can only see the shadow, like, but he's a pretty intimidating guy, I've got to say.
Excuse me, I'm a doctor, please. I said I'm a doctor.
Those doctors are not official doctors.
You'll get the best care money can buy.
I'll take that, take it. Back on track, and I think they should be.
Who's in charge of the patient?
Yeah, bring back Josh Hart for Halloween 9, definitely.
Mr. Carver, good to see you, sir.
And here comes the crazy Irishman.
It's all over, my friend. It's just a small accident. The lady's going to get the very best possible treatment, I promise you that. Where are they taking her? They're taking her to the factory. She'll be the most marvelous facility to
Factory.
emergency treatment. Whatever. It's fine.
So who's actually excited for Halloween Ends? Forget Halloween Kills. Give me your ideas of Halloween Ends. Who's going to survive? Who's going to die? Where's it going to take place? Where's the showdown going to take place? Because they've done a showdown at Laurie's house. I don't know where the showdown's going to take place for Halloween Kills, but where's the showdown going to take place with the last film? And will Laurie die? Will it just be... is it Andy Matichak, the granddaughter? Will she be the last? Will it just be a case of her? I think Laurie's going to die at the end of Halloween Ends. I think Judy Greer is going to die at the end of this film, and I think it's going to end up with Andy Matichak and possibly a final scene with Michael, not quite dead. But again, what's the point in doing that? Because you can't bring him back again. He's too old. So maybe they will kill him off good this time. I think they should. I think it should end up with Laurie and Michael both dying, and just with Andy Matuszak as the sole survivor. It won't, but I think they should. I think they should. I honestly don't know where they can go now with Halloween, with this iteration of it. You've got to end it now. If you're going to make the decision to have Michael as a 63-year-old, but yeah, he'd be 63 now, yeah. So by the time this film ends, and by the time at the end of Halloween ends, he's going to be 63, 64. You can't realistically carry on this iteration of Halloween. You need to completely end this franchise, kill off Michael permanently in this franchise, in this timeline, kill off Laurie and leave Andy Matuszak as the sole survivor. And I think then you need to if you want to make Halloween films, you need to then just go back to the drawing board and just start again from scratch. And if that means going back and setting a film in 1978, maybe you need to do that. I don't know. But if it makes money, they're going to do something. But they've made the rod for their own backs, because if they want to keep on in this timeline, it's Michael's not going to get. I know he's not human, but he's still human. As in, he's still going to get older. We know he's got older from Halloween 2018 when he's got grey hair and he's bald. So, what are they going to do? If they want to keep it going, I don't know. I just think they should just end it after it ends. But I don't want to see it end to Halloween films. I want to see Halloween films until the day I die. So if that means rebooting the whole thing and setting it back in the 70s, I'll do that. Even if it's a shit film, I'll still watch it. It's never going to recreate the magic of 78 or the early films I watched as a kid. And those films necessarily aren't that great now, but because I watched them as a kid, they're like magic to me. But I think for anyone who watched these films as a kid, you're never going to be able to recreate that magic. But we still want to see these films, every few years. And so, yeah, just keep making them. No matter how bad they are, just keep making them. And I've totally missed the chatting because I've been rambling on again. Where am I up to now? I'll be okay with it. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Well, yeah. I like Mick McDowell. I did like Brad Dourif as well. Malcolm McDowell, he was kind of a bit of a dick though. He was kind of like, he's been like an evil Loomis, wasn't he? He wasn't really there but that kind of sums up the whole zombie feel of the film. Everybody's like a bit bad, a bit nasty. So he kind of like, he played into that role, I suppose. Should have just had Laurie survive the fourth infection and gone into hiding the game. Well, I mean, Halloween Resurrection is just. I mean, she wanted that, right? Did she want to be killed off in Resurrection? I've blanked that film out of my memory completely, because that film is just, oh my god. All that H2O did in terms, it wasn't a great film, but bringing Laurie back and like finally exorcising the demons, then they go and pull that. It's just like, it feels like such a cheap shot. Just not to go underwater. Is it so popular? Well, the whole plot of the film as well, it came out at such a bad time. This whole like reality TV as well, and making, I mean, the house was just like, how big was the house? It was like it became enormous. It was just like, so unrealistic. Bad design.
Oh, wow, this is it. Hall of Fame time. What's famous? You really don't know.
See, who was there a screen of Halloween Resurrection? You know, like you get these screenings where, you know, they put a screen out for the public, for the hardcore fans. Who actually did the screening go out and went, oh yeah, this is great, yeah, this is what people want to see? No, surely nobody wanted to see this. It doesn't. Not in my world. So all the kids now have arrived at the Silver Shamrock facility. All the little brats. It's a bit like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, this actually. It's like an evil Charlie. Well, actually, Charlie and the Factory, that was quite evil anyway, wasn't it? You've got like the sort of parents, you know, like it's very similar.
Just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Quality inspection, a seal of approval, not the usual. And of course,
I was fortunate enough to see it in the cinema. Resurrection actually holds, you know, kind of holds a dear place in my heart, even though I think the film is complete utter shit. My wife went to labour the day before I watched this film, and she gave birth to our son. And obviously she was in hospital that night, so you know I couldn't stay with her, so I had to go home, and I'd rented the film a couple of days previously, or the day previously, and with all that gone on, I'd forgotten to take the film back because obviously everything had gone on, I hadn't actually watched it. So I thought, I'm going to get a fine. So what, you know, I've just got my firstborn child, my only, you know, child born, and they were in hospital, you know, obviously, you know, my wife was recuperating and he was just, you know, in the maternity ward. So I went home that night and I just watched Halloween Resurrection, and I suppose I almost like half enjoyed it just due to the fact I was in such a good mood of like the fact that I was like a new father. But any other occasion I probably would have so that's the only reason I remember that film so well as to when I watched it, and I've never seen the film again. Thanks for finding martial arts, yeah. But the less said about that, the better. Who signed off on that? I have no idea. Oh, I'm not like that, sure. Yes, sorry. I've seen this, sadly. You're not that young, Jess. So, did you not see? How come you did not see H2O or maybe even Halloween 6? Were you not a fan of the Halloween films at that time?
I saw it. I know I saw it.
I think it's time for the break.
I'm scared. I think we should leave.
Tom's drinking. It's always a good sign.
I'm calling the police. This place has to fall under somebody's jurisdiction.
Tom's got a very, very tight pants on as well. I wish I'd been able to see Halloween in the cinema. I did get to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the cinema about 1999, I think it was. I think it was just before it got its like sort of DVD release. That was a good experience because at this point, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially in the UK, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even in the late 90s, had this kind of like, you know, like sort of very, very sort of, you know, edgy, gritty, very gory film. And in the UK, especially UK Ireland, it was almost, it gained a level of notoriety just almost beyond words. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it really had. You know, for anyone, ask anyone at that time in the late 80s, 90s, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was on par with, like, you know, I'm going to say, mention like a very famous porn film called Animal Farm. Everybody knows what that film is. It was kind of like this ultra sleazy, sort of very edgy film that you just couldn't get hold of anywhere. And then, so when it did get released on the cinema, I think it came out on DVD or VHS at the time, everyone was kind of like amazed at like how, you know, well, how well, normal it was. It was like a normal film. It was nothing. It had a few edgy scenes, but nothing to like. We'd seen far more extreme stuff already through the 90s. So yeah, it was. But that was when you talk about the video nasty scene of the early 80s. That Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the film. That was the film that really defined the 80s sort of video nasty scene of when you watch a film like Censor now, if anyone's seen Censor, which is about the BBFC and they're trying to clamp down on violent movies, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like the numero uno in terms of like what was considered like a no-go film. And yet it wasn't, you know, wasn't really that bad. After the film, Tom's just about to, I think he's about to raid the factory any minute. Oh, I think so. I'm not completely lost the plot of this film. People just talking in the chat. There's a bit of a Stephen King feel to this, I think. Does anybody else feel like with the town, the small town, like the sort of the paranoia, you know, and the kind of, you know, the small town mentality. It feels very much like a Stephen King film or a Stephen King novel, a film based on a Stephen King novel. Yeah, same in the UK. I remember Alien. I think even Alien back in the day in the UK was kind of like hard to get. I don't know if it's like the uncut version, but I mean, people used to talk about the stomach bursting scene, like, you know, as if that was something like, you know, just, oh my god, it was such a big deal. And that was a mainstream movie. Obviously, we weren't watching the same sorts of stuff that Charlie Sheen was watching in the mid 80s, because he was watching way stronger stuff than that. The sort of stuff that would have him ringing the FBI up. If anyone's not sure, just Google Charlie Sheen snuff movie and you'll get the full story. I was always like pissed off that like the female leader, her name I forget again, that she got turned. I would have liked to see her to survive the film, but and the end, does he manage to convince them to turn off the final channel? And the fact that they even turned off, like, I think 2 stations, I think it was before, like, as if they can listen to some crazy lunatic on the phone, even though he's telling the truth. Like, as if they're going to listen to like just some random guy phone up and go, you need to turn this transmission off now because this transmission is going to make children die. There's no way they would do that.
Where's the girl? Where is she? Where is
Tom's just fighting the man in black. It's very Terminator-esque. This is the Brad Friedel. Was he influenced slightly by the theme music? Because it's got very similar. What the? The synth score is very, very similar to Brad Friedel in Terminator.
This was a rare piece of charm. Made in Munich, 1985. I was trying to get a replacement.
How old is Tom Atkins now?
Where is Ellie?
Shot. Is he 85? Is he 85, 86, 87?
She's resting just now.
Does anybody know how old Tom Atkins is?
Didn't take long to get here, Mr. Chavez. Dr. Chavez, I should say. Morning soon. Halloween morning. You're getting a busy day for me. Being a medical man, you should find it quite interesting.
'85. He's looking good for it though. He's one of those guys. I imagine he's going to live like he's 100. I just can't see him ever dying. It's like Clint Eastwood. And Clint Eastwood's like 90 now. And Robert Englund must be close to 80. It's like Ted White, isn't Ted White who played Jason? Is he like 95 or something? Like he must have been old when he played Jason back in the 80s.
The surprising thing is that the internal components were quite simple to produce, really. The outer features took much longer to perfect, but then, of course, in the end,
This is like it's more like it's almost like a sci-fi film more than a horror film. Halloween 3.
convincing, aren't they?
Yeah, Richard Donner. Yeah, they're all going to start going. Well, most of them are going now. They're all going to be gone soon. All the greats of our generation, anyway.
Those who went before me, they never dreamed.
There are people who I always think like should be dead who aren't dead yet, and you always think I always have to remind myself that they're not dead. It's like I always think that Brian Blessed. I always have to remind myself that he's not dead because I always think he died like a few years ago and he didn't. You know, Brian Blessed, obviously from Flash Gordon. He's always like one of those people I just think, oh yeah, he died, and he's still alive. I'm like, okay, oh yeah. John Williams, who's obviously the Star Wars composer. I always feel like he should be dead and he's still alive. He must be getting on for 90 into his 90s.
Ancient sacrificial symbol. Stonehenge. We had a time getting it here. Wouldn't believe how we did it.
He's just explaining his crazy plan now.
Force. Even art.
This is the longest Halloween film. It's getting up for an hour 40 minutes. I can't imagine there's a Halloween film longer than this. But it needs that extra long time, I think. It needs more build-up and character development.
Look, Doctor, you asked about the girl.
Where is she? Right in there. Your friend, Miss Gutman. You killed her. No, Miss Gutman was the victim of a misfire. Yes. What you really need to see is a demonstration of this one. Come in right up.
That always reminds me of the Commandant Lissard from Police Academy. Did they ever make it canon that the scene in Halloween 2 where the kid who arrives at the hospital with his mouth is like cut open from like razor blades or something in the suites? Didn't they try and include that as part of Halloween 3? I'm sure they did. Or somebody, somebody like came up with the idea and went with it, and they just said, "Oh yeah."
Don't like this place. It gives me the creeps. I have to go to the bathroom. Mommy.
Relax a minute, will you? Mr. Common will be here and everything will be fine. He just wants my opinion about some television commercials or something. You know, I still can't figure out why they won't take my orders for next year. You know how I like to work ahead. Well, they're just not interested at all.
Maybe not to have Halloween next year.
Ha.
All right, roll it.
That's what they play the TV commercial for the kid.
It's time. It's time.
It's pretty dark, this scene, actually.
It's come. All you laughing kids with silver shamrock masks, gather round to a TV set. Put on your masks and watch.
Honey, don't get too close. You'll ruin your eyes.
Jack-o'-lantern. Gather round and watch. Watch the magic pumpkin. Watch.
Just killing kids. Just killing kids. This is darker than most Halloween films.
I think this whole thing is a big joke. I mean, look at that.
That's some pretty dark shit right there. The snake going up his mouth is just, it's just nasty. It's nasty. The father just wants to get out the room. Forget the son, he just wants to get out the room. Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery. It was never really. Just a megalomaniac. We never really know why Michael wants to kill his victims, do we? We just accept it.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. In front of your TV sets for the horror club. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
I'm curious how like this small company in Northern California are able to have such influence over the entire country. Everywhere in the United States is wearing these masks. I mean, that takes some doing. I love that shot of Los Angeles though, with the kids walking with the sun setting. The shot that they use on the VHS cover, that's such a good shot. It's a lot better than the cover they've used for the new Screen Factory 4K releases anyway. And the shot there with the kids just like watching the TV, that's a scene I was from the back of the VHS cover as well. On that shot as well. Yeah, it's some iconic shots right now. The old school phones, the old ringtones, dialing, finger in, pull around. Remember them well. The younger generation will never understand.
Roger, did I wake you? Oh, sorry. Listen, I've got something down here I'd like for you to look at. I know I could be wrong, but I don't think it's a car park.
Here comes one of the men in black.
Tomorrow afternoon. Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Roger.
Getting his drill out.
Operator, can you get me the sheriff?
Bit of driller killer now. I was hoping she'd survive this film, but I was thought she would. No, drill to the brain. I like little timestamps as well, 7:30 PM.
Enjoy the horror fun, Doctor.
Tom's tied up now
Big giveaway afterwards.
with that same jacket on. He won't take that jacket off.
Do I need a reason? Mr. Comfort was right, you know. I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever. A joke on the children. But there's a better reason. You don't really know much about Halloween.
This means going into detail about Halloween now.
The strange custom of having your children wear masks and go out begging for candy.
I think there's something they could have gone somewhere to tie up Michael to the whole Halloween, you know, the Silver Shamrock thing. But having said that, you don't really want Michael to be associated with this, because then you go somewhere to explaining who he is, and you don't really want that. It doesn't really.
Halloween. The Festival of Samhain. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago when the hills ran red with the blood of animals and children. Sacrifices. Out of our world. Our craft. Witchcraft. To us it was a way of controlling our environment. It's not so different now. It's time again. In the end, we don't decide these things, you know. The planets do. They're in alignment. And it's time again. The world's going to change tonight, Doctor.
So I'm with the skull face mask on.
Happy Halloween.
And then we get the Halloween music. So is this always a thing, this Halloween music? I don't remember this. Was it always a thing, the Halloween music, at this point? Because I must have blanked this out of my memory. I'd completely forgotten about that. And I've seen this film, but this must be like the 5th time I've seen this film, and I've totally forgotten that they included the original Halloween music. Maybe John Carpenter insisted on it.
Cockroach. Oh, yes, of course.
Tom's escaped now. Right, but that's not happening. That was a hell of a good shot from Tom there, landing the mask right on top of the video camera.
That's just a fun way of saying thank you to all our good customers.
Mr. Cochran.
It's always a pleasure doing business with you. It is indeed. Oh, 43 sure. You think so?
I do feel this film like maybe lasts like 10 minutes too long. It could have been streamlined a little bit. Like it does, the last half an hour does drag a little bit. I love the first hour, but it actually, the more it builds up, the more they could actually speed things up a bit. Once they get to, you know, the facility, I'm just like wanted to get done and dusted. But I love that slow build up to getting to that point.
Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Sir, malfunction. Camera 2.
You realise you just underestimated Tom. There's always like an air in these films. There's always like an air duct where people can crawl through. Every film, there's always somewhere someone can crawl into and get into a new room. I've never seen an air duct where I live or any other building where I am in that way. Yeah, not too much, yes. I mean, as I say, it's only like an hour and 38 minutes long, but with films like this, anything over an hour 30, sometimes it just needs a little trimming a little bit. But I think this is the one Halloween film where you can probably allow a few extra minutes because it's not your traditional slash and dash sort of horror film. It requires a little bit more of a build up and explanation.
We've lost him.
No, we haven't.
I'm not drunk. Listen, you have to get rid of the mask. Just.
Yeah, I think is it the longest Halloween film then? I would have thought so. Of the proper, don't mean Rob Zombie's films. I mean just like of the, the normal Halloween films. I would say I can't imagine there's a longer film than this.
Stop the car.
Right, Halloween free pub in the middle of Halloween says, yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I think even last week, I stated as being either 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 4, 3. You know what? After watching 2 last week, I'm probably leaning more towards 1, 2, let's say 1, 4, 3, 2. After watching 2 and 3 in quick succession, I think 3 is definitely a better film than 2. And obviously, we're going to watch 4 next week again. And I know 4 is a great film. I can't see 4 letting me down. It seems my memory isn't that bad. I think nostalgia places 2 higher than what it should be. But 3 still holds up. But yeah, watching 2 again last week, it was like, it was a bit of a wake up call. I hadn't seen it for a few years. I'm like, but watching 3 again, it does hold up. But yeah, 2 is, I do like 2, but it has got its issues. and I think 3 does a better job of telling the story, and I think 4 definitely does. Well, 4 is The Mask is just not on par with 2, but that's a small price to pay for a better film. So dated, these computers look it's so 80s, this look, but I do love it. Everything just, it reminds you of like the film War Games with Matthew Broderick. There was this big thing in like sort of early to mid 80s with like movies about like computers, and it was a big deal at the time. I think this kind of played into it a little bit. I always kind of look at this as well when I watch Stranger Things, the first season, the Hawkins, the laboratory. I always think of this building as well. Tom's just like wiped out most of the team. How many pros are favourites? My favourites are Michael are not Cinnamon Hill at 1, 2, 4, 8, 7. Well, I mean, I actually like 5 more than H2O, only because I know 5 is like it's not a terrible, it's not a great film, but the simple fact that 5 is like, came out when I was still a teenager, and H2O, I do like H2O, but because it does feel like such a product of its time. It does feel like a Scream clone. You know, it's just so influenced by Scream. It doesn't really feel like a Halloween film in a way. But I still like H2O. I mean, I still do like the film. But Halloween 5, for all its faults, it still feels more of a Halloween film. So for that reason, I'd always place it above H2O, but I can see why a lot of people would place H2O over Halloween 5, because it's far from perfect. Everyone's just ready to settle down in front of the TV. So Tom's going to try and convince the TV stations to turn off the channels. As I say, realistically, this would never happen. Okay. I'm not quite sure what to make of that comment. It's not you, is it, Al? Someone's just crashed the car now. He's got to try and make his way to a phone. That's what I love about 80s films. No smartphones. You want to make a phone call, you've got to try and find a landline. The more time goes on, the more I just watching more and more old films before cell phones, smartphones became a thing. No, Ellie's trying to kill him. He's just chopped her arm off. And there goes her head. Yeah, I don't know who that comment was. It's not Hayden, is it? It's like somebody appeared in one of Hayden's random live streams where there's no host. Maybe. I don't know how live streams work. I don't know how this live chat works. Possibly, it could be. No. Tom nearly getting strangled by a hand. He's taking his time making this phone call. He's looking at his watch. It's only 10 to 8. I thought it feels later than that. He's getting strangled again. You're not wrong there, Dan. Let's see the phone call, the gas station. It's 9 o'clock, a bit late to be putting these advertisements out for kids. Consider they're little kids. Would they not like be sort of like going to bed before this? And the guy in the gas station looks like oh my god, his name escapes me. He's like a singer, like a 50s singer or 60s singer. He's begging him to stop the channel. Did he stop it though? Did he stop it? There's probably some fan fiction out there somewhere where, you know, it carries on the story of Halloween 3. But that was it. That was Halloween 3 live stream commentary, guys. Arguably the third best Halloween film in the series. I don't know where you guys stand on it, but I certainly think it's up there with either 3 or either the third best or fourth best. But anyway, thank you for joining me on this live stream. That was really, really, really awesome. I really, really enjoyed that. I've really had to reappraise my opinions of Halloween 3. So it's definitely above 2 now. So next week 4, I'm pretty sure 4's gonna top 3. I know it will, and it's gonna top 2 as well. Now it's gonna definitely top number 2 because 2 has definitely gone down in my estimation. But yeah, so I will be doing a live stream on Friday night, midnight UK time, 7 PM Eastern Standard. It's going to be a bit more of a casual stream. It's not going to be a live stream commentary. It's just going to be talking about some movie stories, maybe something about Candyman, talking about maybe going into more detail about Fear Street, because I think Fear Street Chapter 2 drops, is it Friday or is it Thursday? Hopefully it drops before I do my live stream and I can watch it, because I wouldn't mind having a little talk about that. Yeah, just various other stuff. But anyway, so guys, I'll see you on Friday night, hopefully, same time. Anyway, thanks to the chat. Thanks you to Big Crack. Thanks to Dan. Jess, thanks for jumping on, man. Obviously, Sean. Where is he gone? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Apollo. Corey. And DJ. So thanks guys, thanks for jumping on, really appreciate that. Oh, DJ's popped up right at the end as well. People can learn that Michael Myers isn't in it. Oh no, that was at the beginning of the chat. Anyway, thanks guys, I will see you on Friday night. Bye.